Hey Rabbi, hey Rabbi, hey Rabbi, Kel b'nei be'ezra b'kavadai. Kel b'nei be'ezra b'kavadai. Nebeisa, nebeisa, nebeisa b'kavadai. Shalom Aleichem. Have you been here all the time? Or were you away?
Yeah, I've been here.
Okay, yesterday we were learning about Holy Chutzpah. And we've been learning about freedom and the way Reb Shlomo put freedom was that are you free to be yourself? Are you free to be your highest, best self? Right? That's and the only way to be free that way is to be connected to the one who's the only real, true, free being, and that's God. But in order to achieve that, you have to have Azut Kedusha, you have to have Holy Chutzpah to say, even though everybody around me might laugh at me for putting on a kippah, everybody might laugh at me for praying 3 hours a day or whatever it might be, like to have the guts to do it, and he says only when you have the guts to stand on your feet and to really be yourself, only then are you really able to love everybody. But so long as you're operating as a slave of slaves, whether it's to some concept, a slave to a concept, whether it's a slave to people, whether it's a slave to an ideology, it doesn't matter what it is, and that doesn't allow you to manifest your truest, deepest essence, then what you end up is the slave hates his master. It's only when you're really able to really be yourself and stand on your own feet that you have the capability to love everybody. So now we're going to continue on page 51. Azutik Kedusha Mul HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Holy Chutzpah in relation to God, in relation to the Holy One, blessed be He. Well, what's your name, by the way?
Ellie.
And yours is Daniel or Ariel? Ariel. I got the last 2 letters right.
You know who I am, though?
Michael Jackson.
I heard about America, the only place where a poor black boy can turn into a rich white man. Okay, right there.
Okay. So he says, Achshav takshiv, now listen to this. Rabbi Nachman Mosif, Rabbi Nachman adds, Lo rak mul ha'olam tzarich hazut kedusha, you need to have holy chutzpah not only towards the world, tzarich shetiyeh lecha hazut kedusha afilu mul hakadosh baruch hu, you have to have holy chutzpah even towards God. Meaning what? אתה צריך לבוא אל Hashem, you have to be able to come to God, ולומר לו, and say to him, ריבונו של עולם, master of the world, אני חייב להיות יהודי, I have to be a Yid, אני חייב להיות צדיק וקדוש, I have to be holy and righteous, אני חייב להיות קרוב אליך, I have to be close to you, אתה לא יכול לדחות אותי. You can't push me away. וגם אחרי שאתה נופל, and even after you fall, אתה צריך לקום, you have to stand up again, ולעמוד לפניו and stand before God, ולומר לו and say to him, it's hitting home already? He said, it's hitting home already, this teaching. Yeah. וגם אחרי שאתה נופל, אתה צריך לקום ולעמוד לפניו, even after you fall, you have to get up again and stand before God, ולומר לו and say to him, זה נכון, yes, it's correct, it's true, התחלתי 15,000 פעמים, I've started again 15,000 times. ו15,000 פעם נפלתי, and 15,000 times I've fallen. אבל דע לך, ריבונו של עולם, but no, master of the world, למרות החולשות שלי, despite my weaknesses, למרות כל מה שעובר עליי, despite everything that happens, that's happened and happening in my life, לעולם לא אעזוב אותך, I'm never going to leave you, לכן, therefore God, עדיף לך כבר לקרב אותי אליך, אחת ולתמיד, it's better for you that you already, once and for all, bring me close to you, because otherwise I'm just going to keep on nudging you.
You can even talk about that one.
Rahman says yes. You have to. You're not to give up, right? One of Reb Nachman's famous aphorisms is "Ein yeush ba'olam." There's no such thing as giving up. You have to keep on trying, and you have to keep on trying. You understand this? Harbe pa'amim, last paragraph, many times b'chayim in life. זה נראה כאילו הקדוש ברוך הוא דוחה אותי. It looks like God is pushing me away. כמה פעמים התקרבתי להשם already, many times I've tried to come close to God, והוא נתן לי בעיטה קטנה, and God gave me a little kick. דחה אותי, pushed me away. גרם לי לאבד את מה שכבר השגתי. He caused me to lose what I already had achieved. ולכן, and therefore, כשאני מסרב להתאחות, but when I refuse to be pushed away, כשאני קם כל פעם אחרי שאני נופל, when I get up again every time I fall down, זה כמו חוצפה כלפי הקדוש ברוך הוא. It's like chutzpah towards God. אני אומר לו, and I'm saying to God, לא אכפת לי, I don't care. אתה לא תוכל לדחות אותי, you're not going to be able to push me away. אחרי כל נפילה, אני אקום ואשוב אליך. After every fall, I'm going to get up and I'm going to come back to you. Right? You ever remember when you were learning how to walk, you finally learned how to stand, then you took a step and you fell down, you took another step and you fell down. Now imagine an adult says to the kids, hey kid, in the last hour, I've got a little counter in my hand, you've gotten up and fallen down 55 times, why don't you give up? The kid looks at the adult and says, am I also going to be stupid like you when I grow up? Right? But the tragedy is that's unfortunately what happens, right? We grow up and we start being stupid in that respect.
Can we really take that as an example?
What, from a kid?
A child falls down and gets up again. Can we really take that we fall down?
Why not? Why not? She says, אבל אתם יודעים מה, page 52. But you know what? אחרי החוצפה הזאת, after having this chutzpah, אני מתחיל להבין את העומק, I begin to understand the depth of it. אני מתחיל להבין, I begin to understand שהאמת היא, that the truth is, שהקדוש ברוך הוא רוצה לראות כמה אני חזק. God really just wants to see how strong I am. He wants to see how strong I am. הוא רוצה לראות כמה הרצון שלי עמוק. He wants to see how deep my will is. הוא רוצה לגלות בי את העזות הקדושה. He wants to reveal my real holy chutzpah. כמובן, העזות שלי צריכה להיות נגד היצר הרע שבי. Now, it's understood that the real chutzpah has to be against my yetzer hara, my evil inclination, ולא מול השם, and not against God. אלא, שבסופו של דבר, but ultimately, אני יודע שהשם עשה אותי איך שאני. I know that God made me the way I am. עם היצר הרע, with my יצר הרע. right? ולכן אני צריך כל כך הרבה עזות לקדושה, so therefore I need to have so much holy chutzpah, אפילו מול הקדוש ברוך הוא, even against God. In other words, you have to have the chutzpah against your evil inclination. But on a deeper level, each person has their own personally designed Yetzer Hara and designed by God, right? So it's having chutzpah against Yetzer Hara is also like having chutzpah against God and saying, I don't care that I keep on failing. I'm getting up again and I'm trying again. Now, simulate. Pay attention to this, says Reb Shlomo. How does evil dress itself in the world? A person wants to learn, or he wants to do something good, wants to do something holy. The Yetzer Hara doesn't say, oh, don't do it. But what the Yetzer Hara does instead is that he brings out, it's like he shines a spotlight on my limitations. Now, a person's limitations, are these not heavenly? Are these not from heaven? That like, like I only have a certain IQ, I only have a certain ability to do this much and to do that much, right? So what happens is, so the Yetzer Hara tries to take away your holy chutzpah. He says to the person, Takshivli, listen, I've known you for such a long time. I know you very well. You really think you're going to be holy? You're going to be a Yid? You're going to be a scholar? Who do you think you're going to fool? You're not going to succeed. Just the time has come to recognize and accept your limitations. Why do you keep on trying? Right? The Yetzer Hara tells you all kinds of things. For example, be a realist. Be a realistic person. Get to know the reality. The world that you're living in. Relax. Go to a psychiatrist. Right? Learn to accept yourself with your faults. Right? Just say, I've done what I could. I'm only 3 years old, but I've done what I could. I'm 30 years old. People give up, and they just go to shul instead of trying to really make progress. They just sit down on a branch and perch and tweet, and the struggle is over. Right? There's no more struggle. And the Yetzer Hara puts on a mask as if he's a good friend of yours. He just wants to say, I want you to just relax and enjoy life, But in the end, ultimately, all his arguments are focused on one goal, to weaken you, to take away your holy chutzpah. Reb Nachman warns us of the Satan that disguises himself as a good friend.
Can one assume then that one's ability are without limit?
No, not without limit. But the ability not to give up is without limit.
What's the Yetzer Hara telling you?
You don't know how far you're supposed to go. That's not your decision. In other words, how much you're going to be able to achieve, that's not your decision. Your decision is, I'm giving up or I'm not giving up.
To be the best.
Maybe after 50 years you'll have made all of 1 inch of progress. And maybe it's possible that for your being, for your neshama, that's all that was expected of you. And like the Tanya says, we learned it in chapter 26, he says that every time that we don't give up, God's honor is exalted in heaven, because and the other side is knocked down, because Hashem says, look, even my little Michal, even my little Sholem, you thought that you're stronger than them. Look, they're not giving up. Right? Not giving up. Right?
We really don't know
We don't.
what our limits are.
We don't know what our limits are. That's right. Look, I never read it myself, but I was told it's been documented in the New England Journal of Medicine that this elderly woman was walking with her adult son, who got knocked over by a car and pinned under the front end of the car. And she went ahead and lifted the front end of the car, because she didn't think at that moment. She didn't think, can I do it? Can I not do it? She just knew, I got to save my son. Okay. So what do you do then when you have all these arguments from the evil inclination? You have to answer the evil inclination. Forget it. You should know. Even if God himself is going to push me away, I'm not going to listen to him. I'm not going to listen to you. Even if everything that you're saying about me is true, I'm not listening to you. There's a like a little Hasidic word that says, why is the Yetzer Hara called Yetzer Hara? Is it because he's telling you to do something bad, or because he actually is bad? And they're saying it's because he actually is bad. In other words, he doesn't want to see you make progress. That's his energy. Anyway, so the next time that you meet somebody that really nudges you, say, oh, you're my teacher on how not to give up. You're teaching me on how not to give up. These people who they'll pester you for 55 years till you give them whatever they want, right? So, okay, you're teaching me how not to give up, right? Once when our son Netzach was a little kid, and so Judy was on the phone with Reb Shlomo, and she says, he's really trying my patience. So Reb Shlomo said, he's perfecting your patience. He's perfecting your patience. Okay? So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu rak bochein otcha, second last line on 52. God is just testing you. He wants you to be strong. When Yaakov Avinu was wrestling with Esav's archangel, who Hashem, he was basically wrestling with God. Because and when he beat him, Zacha Lashem Yisrael. That's when he merited to get the name Yisrael. Which means Kisarita im Elohim v'manashim v'tuchal, for you wrestled with a divine being and with people, and you were successful. Hakadosh Baruch Hu nata b'libeinu yetzer hara. It's God that planted the evil inclination in our heart. Hu zeh shesholech l'libeinu malachim shel ra. It's He who sends evil angels to our heart. Aval rak k'dei shenigaber alehem. Not that we should listen to them, but just that we should overpower them. Just so that we should strengthen our spiritual muscles, our soul muscles. So that we should merit to have the name Yisrael. Right? I think it was the Mittler Rebbe, the second Lubavitcher Rebbe, and or maybe the Rebbe Marash, that used to say, Likatchila Rebbe. Remember that? Was it the Mittler Rebbe? It was Rebbe Marash. Like, Likatchila Rebbe means to begin with. When you encounter an obstacle, your first strategy should be to go over it rather than to go around it. If you can't go over it, then you'll go around it. Understand? But your first motivation, your first objective should be to go above it, to go over it, because that's the point of the obstacle. The point of the obstacle is for you to rise higher. Okay?
Doesn't go above it.
Huh?
Doesn't go above it.
In other words,
For example.
the reason that you're able to stop me right now is because I've only reached this much capability. So I'm going to make myself stronger, and I'm going to go over it. Okay? I once read or saw that the way they train horses to jump high is they put a bar in front of it, right? And the horse jumps over it. Usually they use a wooden pole. But if the horse is being lazy and just keeps knocking the wooden pole off, so they put a metal pole, so that when he tries to knock it off, he feels it. And then the next time he jumps higher. Okay? And the next time he jumps higher. Understand? So if you come across an obstacle that gives you a bang, it means that you got to go higher. You got to go even higher.
Because going around it is a form of surrender.
It's a form of surrender. You're basically staying on the same level. Right?
You never thought of it then.
So now the thing is like this. He says that how do you do that, right? And so there was a chassid of the Lubavitcher chassid who was one of the last Lubavitchers to get out of Soviet Russia in the 70s, Reb Mendel Futterfass of the Shalom. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but back in 1922, the Friedrich Rebbe called in 10 chassidim and had them take an oath that they were ready and willing to give up everything and anything that they possess, even not only their own lives, even the lives of their families, in order to keep Yiddishkeit alive in Soviet Jewry, in Soviet Russia. And there were Hasidim that were caught and sent to Siberia. There were others who were caught and shot. The brother of the man the Rebbe who taught me Aleph Beis, it was a man by the name of Reb Shlomo Morozov. And he was, at the time, he was like the main organizer of all the underground schools and shochtim and mohalim that Lubavitch was operating in Russia. And he was on the run the entire time from the KGB. He couldn't stay in any place more than one night at a time because they were always running after him. And Naftali Citron's former wife, she told me that her great-grandfather, Lubavitcher Rabbi Pinson, that one day Chanya came to his house and says, "Can I stay here for a while to rest?" And 10 minutes later, he took him in, and 10 minutes later, the KGB showed up, and they come to the door, and they say, "Are you Chanya?" So he wanted to save his friend. So he said, "Yes." And they didn't ask any further questions. They just shot him right on the spot in front of his family. So these Hasidim, people don't realize, these Hasidim, like Mamish, gave their lives to keep Yiddishkeit alive in Russia. So Reb Mendel Futterfass was caught and sent to Siberia 3 different times. Siberia was basically pretty much like a death penalty. Very few people survived Siberia. So he was sharing a cell with a real Russian criminal, a murderer. But this criminal liked Reb Mendel, and even though the other prisoners would often try to taunt Reb Mendel, especially when he was davening, this guy would stand over him and take care of him. Anyway, one night they had they had a talent show for the prisoners, like, keep the prisoners a little bit amused. And this murderer guy, his talent was he could walk on a tightrope. So he set up a tightrope, and he's going across the tightrope, and at some point in the middle, he gives a jump, does a 360-degree turn, lands on the rope, and goes to the other end. So later that night, he says to Reb Mendel, he says, do you know how I do that? So he said, yes. He said, how do I do it? He says, you never take your eyes off your target. You never lose sight of where you're going. So he said, that's right. But how did you know? So he says, I have to do the same thing. Right? Understand? We have to remember we're heading in a certain direction. You understand? So, and instead of looking at like how shaky it is right now, right? And freaking out because of how difficult it is right now, keep focus on I'm going there. I remember when I went with my class on a teal here among the caves in Tekoa. So we were going into a cave, and we were like pretty high up, and the rocks that we were on, leading to the cave, between that rock and the entrance to the cave, there was a gap, not much bigger than this. Okay, but if you look down that gap, it was like a good 200 feet of empty space. And I remember that, and I'm not usually afraid of heights, but I looked down and like I was scared to take that step into the cave, even though I couldn't have really fallen through that gap, Just, but that's the idea. If you're looking at, look at where I'm at, like I can lose my balance any second, God forbid, I can this, I can that, right? Then you're going to crash. Right? You have to keep on moving. Right? So I've tried 15,000 times. I've fallen down 15,000 times, but the avoider is keep going. That's the job. So he says, "Atem yodim azut kedusha mul hakadosh baruch hu ze lo pashut." The Nachman says that the holy chutzpah towards God is not a simple matter. Rabbi Nachman Omer sheze kol kach amok. It's this concept is so deep. Sheyesh gvul kama hu yachol lahasbir et ze. He says there's a limit as to how much he can explain. He can only explain so much, and it's much deeper. But he also says, fortunate is the man that has enough holy chutzpah in order to come close to God. And this is very important. The greatest favor that you can do for a friend is to speak with them, and to penetrate this holy chutzpah into their being, so that you give him the strength to do the good and the right. Right? I mean, that's what you need. That's what you need friends for. Right? You need friends to and that's what it means to be a good friend, is not to give up on your friend and your friend is fallen and your friend feels that I don't feel like trying again ever. To be able to give them the courage to keep trying. So Reb Nachman continues, page 54. Any questions, any comments so far? Besides everybody agreeing that it was beautiful teaching, any questions, any comments, right? It's hard. It's definitely hard. And
it's overwhelming what is to me, what we're learning. I accept it. I mean, I can't do anything else. I'm sure.
Listen, Michal, from all the people in the room, you probably are the one with the most holy chutzpah. Look at this. A young guy, 15 years old, comes to learn with us old people over here.
Birthday, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday.
I'm 78, not 55.
78 adds up to 15. I said 15.
I don't want to be younger.
7 plus 8 is 15, Michal.
No, but
Next year you'll be 16.
what we're learning is what Nachman said, the Baltic stuff.
Yeah, it is. Very good. Huh? Ah. But David, you're going to be giving a class tomorrow? Was that the plan?
It's good for you, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be here, but yeah, it's good for me, sure. But David has been teaching the Nachman's Nigunim. Nachman will be here.
Got a nice lineup for tomorrow. Adiaku and Adriana Novi.
Yeah.
And
Some Pesach songs, good. He
Yeah.
comes with his guitar. He used to play with Reb Shlomo,
Oh, wow.
David Steinberg.
That's tomorrow at 12:30.
12:30, yeah. Now bring your kid.
Yeah.
Rabbi Yitzchak, come on in. Come on in. Would you like to sit down for a few minutes? We're learning some beautiful things. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I remember when I was a kid, Erev Pesach, there was like this character in the city, in Montreal. He was like a schnorrer, like he used to go around in shul, like, with a handful of coins asking for a donation. And it's so funny that I remember this. And because we always used to taunt this guy, we always used to start up with him. He was one of those kinds of characters that kids start up with, There are such people, right? And see, at least you're not getting wet, Rabbi Yitzchak. At least you're not getting wet right now. It's pouring outside. Baruch Hashem. So he comes out of the barber shop on Fairmount Street, and I was just come from the yeshiva. We had just burned our chametz. And he takes out his coins, and he just had a fresh haircut. Takes out the coins from his pockets, and he goes, kosher Pesach. He blew all the crumbs out of it, Zayr Mefar LeRuach, and it was like the cutest thing, and I never forgot it. Like, I remember this already over 50 years, like it's amazing. But why am I telling this? I'm just trying to illustrate that even somebody that was like a schlapper, right? And he might be thinking to himself, what could I possibly do that's of consequence, that's worthwhile, right? And he says, you know what? I can make my money kosher lePesach. And he starts blowing through the coins. And he's done. He didn't give up. He had one little thing that he could do. He did it. And that's, you see, we want to manifest our beautiful, great beings that we can be. But sometimes we forget that it's step by step by step by step. And we think that, by now I should already be at, on the 21st floor. And I'm still in the sub-basement. Well, first of all, how do you know you're supposed to be on the 21st floor already? Maybe it's just maybe you're just a bald guy, but maybe you just think so great of yourself. You think that you should already be on that high level. Who said? Maybe your job is just to keep on trying and to keep on trying and to keep on trying, right? So we're on page 54.
I've never thought of it before. It sounds like a silly question, but it's not. But one has to do with the comments with one's money.
I'm taking what you said.
Yes.
Literally.
You got to make sure that there's no chometz in your money.
It's a deep question in a way.
I know, and I gave him a deep answer.
So they're in your money. How do you make your money? What's comments?
You think I need this money, that's comments.
Yeah.
Just get a credit card.
Right. Right. Kochi ve'otzem yadi asu li et hachayil hazeh. Like Moshe Rabbeinu warns against thinking that it's my and my power, my prowess that made this wealth. No, it was all a gift from Hashem. I have to go open the trap. Can you sing something in the meantime, Devin? I have to open up the new trap. Sing.
Hosanna Baba, Hosanna Baba, Hosanna Baba, Yerushalayim. Hosanna Baba, Hosanna Baba,
Because we're lower down in the community, so when it starts pouring, we get a river coming down here. You must have seen it already. And sometimes it just comes into the house, so I have to open up the drain trap. Yeah. Okay, so we're on page 54. Azutik Tusham Mud Tzadikim. Holy chutzpah towards tzadikim. רב נחמן אומר שלא רק מול התאוות הגשמיות צריך שתהיה לך עזות הקדושה. Reb Nachman says not only do you have to have holy chutzpah against your physical lusts, אפילו מול התאוות הרוחניות שלך צריך עזות הקדושה. You also have to have holy chutzpah against your spiritual lusts. And he's going to explain. Now, to have holy chutzpah against your own, our physical lusts basically means to have the chutzpah to say that despite the fact that I may have been trapped in this already in the past, I'm really above this. This is not me. I don't have to be stuck in this. It takes a certain chutzpah to do that. So he says, "Halo yesh la'adam chalamot kedoshim sheifot kedoshot." People, after all, have holy dreams, holy desires. ולפעמים הן מתנגשות עם מה שהקדוש ברוך הוא רוצה ממנו עכשיו. But sometimes they clash, thank you, with what God wants of the person right now. ואז גם כן צריך עזות הקדושה, then you have to also have holy chutzpah. צריך לדעת you need to know that what your soul really wants is is to do what is exactly right for this moment. That's what God wants of you right now. In other words, you may have gotten up this morning with a plan that you're going to do, let's say, 5 hours of learning straight without interruption. But in the meantime, the phone rings and somebody calls you up and they need a favor, so on. And so it takes a certain, but I had this holy plan for today. I was going to spend 5 hours learning and meditating today. I can't stop and do you a favor right now. But maybe that's not, maybe what you had in mind is not what God had in mind. God had in mind that, that you should do this person a favor right now. Right? Reb Nachman Omer Od Mashu. Reb Nachman says another thing. Oh, by the way, so that reminds me of a teaching that I once heard from Reb Shlomo from Reb Nachman. The Talmud says, Ad Hichan Tfilah Magad. Excuse me. Yeah. How far do you, in other words, do you have to believe in prayer? Huh?
It's a good question.
So the Gemara says, Afilu cherev chada munachat al gabei tzavaro, even if a person finds himself with a sharp sword on his neck, al yimna et asmo min harachamim, he should not hold himself back from praying for God to help him. Now, that's the statement in the Talmud. Now, what else are you going to do if not pray at that moment, right? So Reb Nachman says like this. Imagine this person's got a sharp sword on his neck, and somebody comes over to him and he says, hey, Yankel, can you do me a favor? And Yankel is going to say, don't you see what's on my neck? How could you be asking me for a favor right now? I've got this sharp sword on my neck. I'm in utter distress. So Reb Nachman says, stop thinking about yourself and do the person the favor. And he says like this, you have been obviously you've been praying that Hashem should help you. And you know what? Hashem is answering your prayer. But you know how he's answering it? He's sending you someone who needs a favor. So, Al Yimna, that's moment Rachamim in Aramaic means love also. So even when you have a sharp sword on your neck, Chas v'sholem, don't hold yourself back from doing someone a favor, because that's exactly how Hashem is answering your prayer. So, like somebody's asking for a favor, don't say I'm doing something holy now. I once heard Reb Shlomo say that that some people when they're davening they pray that nobody should interrupt them. But he says the really holy people when they're davening, they're begging God, please let someone come and interrupt me. Let someone come in and ask me for a favor, because what they want is they want to do a favor. That's what they want most of all, Anyway, okay, so that's so he says like this. Reb Nachman Omer Od Mashu Kol Kach Hamok. Another thing that Reb Nachman says so deep. Sometimes you have to have holy chutzpah even against righteous and holy people. Lo yuman, unbelievable, nachon. Sometimes you have to have the the courage to look deep into your soul, וממש לדעת מהי חובתך, and to know what is your real obligation in life, מה עליך לעשות, what is it that you really have to do. ושום דבר בעולם, and nothing in the world, שום דבר בעולם לא יעצור אותך, and nothing in the world should stop you. לפעמים אתה שומע את קולו של הקדוש ברוך הוא מתוך הספרים הקדושים. Sometimes you hear God's voice speaking to you from within the holy books. או מפיהם של צדיקים. from the mouths of the צדיקים. לפעמים אתה שומע את קולו של הקדוש ברוך הוא מתוך עצמך, page 55, and sometimes you hear God's voice from within yourself. מתוך עומק הנשמה שלך, from the depths of your soul. ואז אתה צריך להיות מחובר לגמרי לעצמך, and then you have to ממש be connected, completely connected to yourself. וממש לפתוח בקודש בריך הוא, and to really trust God, ולפעול על חשבונו, and operate on his account. Last week 2 weeks ago, I don't remember, I was watching on YouTube a recording of one of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's early Verbringens, and he was talking to everyone, but I think he was also talking to a few individuals in particular who were running one of the Chabad schools in some city in New York, in the States, and apparently they were turning away kids because they said they didn't have enough space in the school for those children. So the Rebbe said to go and borrow money and get another building. He says, money you'll be able to return, but a kid that you turn away from school, you don't know what's going to be with that kid. You don't know what's going to be with that kid, you know. I heard a story and I know who told me the story, and I know who we heard it from. And so the story, we have the tradition, we have the lineage of the story. That once the Chofetz Chaim was visiting Bialystok, and people were coming to him for blessings and for advice. So there was one man that wanted to come in to see the Chofetz Chaim, and the secretary would go in ahead and tell the Chofetz Chaim who was the next person coming in. Secretary comes out and he says to this man, sorry, the rabbi doesn't want to see you. So he was like really, really hurt. So he wrote a note to the Chofetz Chaim. He says, I promise you I won't speak about anything that I have in mind. Just please allow me to come in and please tell me why you're so upset that you don't want to see me. So on that, the Chofetz Chaim invited him in. So he says to him, were you involved in Jewish education? So he says, yes, I was principal of a school for so many years. Did you ever kick a kid out of your school? So he says, well, yes, there was a kid in grade 3 that the board kept on having an argument with him about tuition, and he said he can't pay. Eventually, he was asked to leave. And he says, do you remember the name of that child? So he says, yeah, it was a label. So he says, and have you followed this child? Do you know where he is now? Do you know what he's doing? Do you know what he's doing? So he says, no. So he says, let me tell you who this kid is today. Leonid Trotsky. You know about Trotsky? Mm-hmm. Trotsky was one of the early founders of the Communist Party. Trotsky was responsible for hundreds and thousands of Jewish kids leaving their Jewish education. He was such a powerful speaker. He'd come to a town. Yeshiva boys would go listen to him. He wouldn't even go back to close their Gemara. That's how convincing he was. Okay. So you never know. You kick a kid out of a Jewish school, you don't know what's going to be with him. And so the responsibility is great, and so As a matter of fact, there's this great rabbi in Israel today, Rabbi Steinwald, I think is his name. Is that his name? No, not Steinwald. He's in Bnei Brak. He's considered like one of the biggest Talmidei Chachamim. He's a brisker. So I saw, some of my friends showed me a little clip on YouTube. People come to him for advice, for blessings. So the principal of a girls' school in Beit Shemesh comes to him. Let me see. Move back in the principal of Steinman. The principal of this girls' school comes to him, and he wants to know there's a girl in one of the classes. The mother was divorced, and she married a man who has girls in the school. He was a widower or whatever. But this woman, this girl's mother, doesn't quite fit the Haredi mold of the school. And there are parents that are not happy that this girl is in the class with their daughters. So is it okay for them to expel this kid? And Steinman says, why? So the principal, you see this, it's on YouTube. And he goes, explains, like, they're afraid it's going to be a bad influence. So he says, when I was a kid in Russia, I was sitting in class with kids whose fathers were communists and didn't believe in anything, and they were in the same class with me learning Torah. I don't see any reason why this kid should be expelled. So the principal tries again. He says, yeah, but the parents are that. So finally, Rav Stein starts screaming at him, Gaiva, get out of here, like he sent him away. It's like, you show-offs, who do you think you are, Who do you think you are? Like, you think you're better than somebody else, In the Gemara, Reish Lakish, you've heard of Reish Lakish, right? Was Rabbi Yochanan's top student. He was also his brother-in-law. Reish Lakish used to be a leader of thieves. He was a gangster before he became a Baal Tshuva. He was a gangster. He became one of the biggest rabbis, right? So you're going to go and you're going to see, you're walking in the street and you see some Yid behaving like a thug, like a gangster, and you think that, this guy is never going to make it. What do you know? What do you know? You never know. But if you think that way, you're locking the person into that place, and you're saying, "I know you. You're never going to be. Never going to be anything more than that." Sometimes you have teachers that lock you into a corner like that. They say you'll never make it. I remember when I was teaching in the school in Montreal, I noticed that there was the English teacher. If she gave a kid a 70 in grade 7, and it wasn't a big school, so she also taught grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11. That kid had a 70 in grade 8, and a 70 in grade 9, a 70 in grade 10, and a 70 in grade 11. Whatever mark the kid got in grade 7, I should have told the kids, don't bother coming for the next 4 years, because you're never going to get more than that mark, But there are teachers that do that. They peg you. This is you, and never. How many kids swallow that lie? So many kids swallow that lie. They're right. I'll never be able to do better. And this is how I am. Instead of teaching the kids, never give up. Okay. So when you know something, when you're in touch with your neshama, and we keep on talking about this again and again, that we need to sit down and learn how to meditate and really be in touch with our inner essence, and be in touch with our souls, and be in touch with the fact that the essence of my soul is a part of God, and see yourself from that perspective rather than from the worldly perspective of, I've only got so much IQ, I only have so much money, I only this, I only that, I'm limited. God is infinite. This morning I told the story right over here, this little street right over Erez is actually named after Rabbi Zalman Meltzer. It's one of the biggest Rosh Yeshiva. Reb Shlomo tells the story. Before he came to Israel, when he lived, I don't know what city he lived in Europe, said there was this water carrier, Yankale. And this water carrier decided one day, you know what? I don't want to spend the rest of my life being a water carrier. I want to learn Torah. Now, usually water carriers were people who didn't do well in school, or people, they were orphaned at an early age, and or their families were so poor they had to go work right away, and they never got their education. So this Yankele decided, I want to learn Torah. So he put down his pitchers or his pails, and he went into the yeshiva, and he went over to the Rosh Yeshiva, and he says, teach me Torah. And he looked at him like, he barely knew Aleph Bet, right? And here's this big Rosh Yeshiva, what's he supposed to do? Stop learning his 50 pages of Talmud a day in depth and teach this Yid Aleph Bet, So he sort of pushed him up. He says, okay, come back later, whatever. He never saw him. He didn't see him again for and eventually this Rosh Yeshiva came to Eretz Yisrael. This Rosh Yeshiva came to Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Zalman. If I'm not mistaken, this is the correct one we're talking about. And he asks the other rabbis, so tell me, who are the great scholars here? And they say, oh, there's a man here. Nobody? No. There's a man here in Yerushalayim that his name is Rabbi Yaakov. He is the biggest Talmid Chacham here in Yerushalayim. So Rabbi Zalman says, I gotta go see him. He goes to see him. Who was it? It was the water carrier. When he had been pushed out from learning that day, he decided, I gotta learn. And he got on a boat and came to Eretz Yisrael, and he became this huge Talmid Chacham. That's Azut Ketosha, right? Maybe a big Rosh Yeshiva tells you, oh, you can't do this. But if you know, I'm in touch with my neshama, and I know that I've come to the point in my life where I got to learn Torah, or anything that's of value, don't let anybody stop you. Tem Yodim, we'll finish this page. Tem Yodim, לפעמים זה כל כך עצוב, sometimes it's so sad, כשאנחנו צריכים להקשיב לעצמנו, when we really need to be listening to ourselves, what do we do instead? אנחנו מקשיבים לכל העולם, we're listening to the whole world. כשאנחנו צריכים דווקא להקשיב לאחרים, and דווקא when we need to listen to others, אנחנו מקשיבים רק לעצמנו, we listen just to ourselves. אנחנו עושים את הכל לא נכון. We get it all messed up. Okay? So, I want to wish everybody, actually there should be another class this Thursday, but in this case there's anybody that I'm not going to see before Pesach, I wish you a Chag Kosher V'Sameach. If you want me to put you on the list to sell the chametz, send me an email saying, please sell my chametz. She's upstairs, by the way. Okay. Please sell my chametz.
What information do you need?
Address, where the chametz is in your house, okay? And say, I'm making you my agent to sell my chametz.
We have to do a donation.
No. You can also do it online with Chabad.org. Okay? Just you have to make sure that they know that you're selling, that you're having the chametz sold in Israel. If you have chametz in Chutz La'aretz and in Israel, you got to specify all the places that you have chametz. Yeah, okay? So be careful, you might have, in case you have chametz in the States, because there it has to be bought back later than over here, Okay? So You should have a wonderful Yom Tov, get a good taste of freedom, chew your matzah well.
Thank you very much.
One story.
Yeah.
So once,
And one more, tomorrow, Reb David is, on Wednesdays, he teaches Reb Shlomo's Niburim. Reb David played with Shlomo for 17 years on stage.
so this, once Shlomo called me up, asked me to take him to the airport. It was like 3 or 4 weeks after Pesach. So I picked him up in Manhattan. I just was driving him from Manhattan to Brooklyn. Someone else was taking him to Kennedy, right? He gets into the car with the bags and he sits down and he has a 2-pound box of matzah. And he's eating this matzah. It's 3-4 weeks after Pesach, right? And he's quelling over every single bite. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It's a month after. That's 1 month. It's a month after Yom Tov, and he was flying. He was flying.
That one is his personal one.
So that's something to get a taste.
Anyway, Moshe's going to visit his family in Muncie, right? So come back safely. I'll see you all. And God willing, Thursday I should be here with you having a class, okay? Thank you for coming, everyone. Thank you.